Hello everyone, it's been a while. I know many of you might be wondering why I suddenly stopped making videos on the Tailwind CSS course. So let me clear things up real quick before we dive into today's topic. The main reason is that Tailwind CSS released a brand new version, the version 4. With this update, there have been some fundamental changes, though a lot has stayed the same. I felt it wouldn't make sense to continue teaching an outdated version, so I decided to pause for a bit and then ultimately stop the course. On top of that, my personal goals have shifted and I have been preparing to move back to Germany. If you're interested in that process, let me know in the comments. I would love to share my research and experiences in case you are considering working abroad too. Moving forward, I'll focus on requests from subscribers in the comments of my videos and create custom content based on what you would like to see. Alright, let's get into today's video. This is also a requested topic. Someone asked me in the comments. So let's start by installing Tailwind CSS version 4 using Tailwind CLI, and then we will discuss why the tailwind.config.js file is no longer generated automatically. However, how to still use it in version 4. I am in my VS Code. I just created an empty folder called YouTube. Let's start by creating an index.html file first. So right click, new file, and add the boilerplate code. Let's start by installing the Tailwind CSS version 4 using the CLI method first. So here is the official documentation. I'll provide all the links, whatever I show in the video, they will be in the description, so don't worry. So Tailwind CLI, and the first command is this to install the Tailwind CSS. So I copied that, and here let's open the terminal. Here I'll paste the command. This will install the necessary node modules required for the Tailwind CSS. So they are created. Now the next step is to import the Tailwind CSS in the CSS file. So as you can see here closely, it mentioned the path as well. So we'll create a source folder and create input.css inside that source. This is not mandatory, but I'll tell you why it is important. I'll copy this command. I'll create a new folder called src and input.css and paste the command we copied. Now, why this path is important? It's because of the build process. If you see the command, the build command, we are specifying the input path of the CSS file where we imported Tailwind CSS, and also the output path. So just to avoid confusion, we can create this folder. If you decide for some other reason, if you don't want to put it inside source folder, then you need to adjust the path in this part. It's just for convenience, so this is a normal procedure everyone follows, so you can just create the source folder. So I'm copying this build command and I'll paste it in the terminal. This will create an output.css file, and as you can see on the top left, we have that. Now instead of pasting this every time, we can actually have that with a different name. So in the package.json, you can add scripts. And here you can, this is just the suggestion from GitHub Copilot, ignore that. So we can have build CSS and paste that command here and save it. Now I'll kill this terminal and create a new one. instead of using this entire command, now we can just write npm run and build css. It does the same thing. So this is just for convenience. Many people do that, so I just explained it. I'll close this package.json, and in index.html, first I will just give a div with a heading. This without importing the Tailwind CSS. Now let's see how the output looks. For that, I'm using live server. Otherwise, you can just open the path of this file. It's better to use live server because it automatically refreshes when we make any changes. If you don't have it, go to the extensions and type live and you will have that. You can install that. So now we can see our project. Now let's import the Tailwind CSS. So in the head tag, style sheet. Okay, again, this is the copilot. I'll remove this and give the path of the output.css. So now we are in the root folder. So we have to go to the source folder and then output.css and save it. Now I'll add a Tailwind class. Maybe I'll make the font bold and text bigger. Save it. We can see that it is working. Let's change the color and background as well, just for clarity. As you can see, we can use the Tailwind classes. So we have successfully installed Tailwind CSS using the Tailwind CLI method. Now let's talk about why tailwind.config.js is missing in version 4 and how we can still use that file in the version 4. So with the introduction of Tailwind CSS version 4, the framework has shifted from a JavaScript configuration to a CSS-first configuration approach. This means that many of the customizations we were doing it in the JS file, that is the tailwind.config.js, can now be done directly inside the CSS file itself. So we don't need a separate configuration file. However, if you still want to use tailwind.config.js file, you can still do it. You will just need to create it manually, as it is not generated automatically and there is no specific command to generate that file. You can just right click in your repository and make a new file. So first I'll manually add that file and make some changes to see it. Maybe I'll just add some new colors and see if it works, and then I will show you the new way, the standard way for the version 4 on how we can configure this. So this will give you a clear understanding of how the new configuration works in version 4 and how you can use the old configuration file inside the version 4. So let's start. So in the root directory, I'll create the new file. tailwind.config.js. So here is the version 3 documentation. So this is how a blank tailwind config.js used to be. So I'll just copy this and paste it in our config.js file. So this is how normally it looks. We did not make any changes to it. So first thing we have to do is this content line. I'll just delete this comment. It's not required. So in the content, this tells where we have to apply the Tailwind configuration. So right now there is HTML file, but it is looking only inside the source folder. Now here you can do two things. One thing is to move this index.html into this source folder. So it will detect this index.html file and use Tailwind in that. Otherwise, you can just add the path here. That's all. Now, whatever configuration we do will be applicable to index.html as well. So as I said, I'll just add some colors. Yeah, Copilot is suggesting something, so I'll just go with it. We have a primary one color and secondary two colors. So this is not new. This is how exactly we used to do in the version 3. So nothing is new here. The only new thing is how we are connecting this tailwind.config.js file to the version 4 of Tailwind CSS. Let's test without connecting and just check. Now we have this. If we try to use this color primary now, we will not be able to do it. So let's change the background from orange to primary. As you can see, it is not even suggesting that. Means it is not actually detected by our Tailwind version 4. For that, what you have to do is go to your input.css and add this line there. So you have to write @config and then you have to give the path of the tailwind.config.js file. So I'll save this. Now I'll try to add that primary background color. Let's see the output first. Here we don't have any background. The text is white, so you are not able to see. Now let's add background to this BG. As you can see, the primary color is now detected. I'll save it. And you can now see the background color. This is coming from the tailwind.config.js, the color we gave here. We also have secondary, so let's try that. We have secondary 100 and 200, both the variations. It is working as well. So now we can confirm that the Tailwind config file is working in the version 4 of the Tailwind. So this is how you create this manually. The configuration file is exactly how you would do previously. It's the same. The only point you have to understand is this connection. So once you connect that config file, everything you can use like you used to do before. So that's that. Now the same thing, how we can do this in the version 4 style, that is the standard style. I will show that as well. That can be done in input.css. So I will delete this and let's see the output. The background is gone, means it is not working. So let me create 2 columns. We will see what we did here and then we will replicate that in the input.css. So for that you have to use the theme variable. So @theme. Here you can just type like this. You are adding color, so you should type color, then primary is the name, and then you have to give the hex code. The one we gave is, I'll just copy this. So this way you give the primary color. Now since secondary has 2 variants, I'll add secondary as well. But now here we have 2 variations, so we just have to add another hyphen and give the variant name. I'll copy this code the same for another variant. So this is how we write the same code in the CSS file. As you can see, this already looks very simple compared to the configuration file. So it's your choice, but going forward, I think it's better we adapt to the newer way. So let's now test this. If it is working, I'll delete the configuration file completely. Now this should have background. So let's test. And as you can see, we have the background again. I'll change this to primary color. You can see it is being detected and it's being applied. So this is how we use Tailwind configuration file in the version 4. And if you're thinking how we can know the syntax for everything, I'll put some links from the Tailwind documentation itself where you can see how they use this syntax. Color is something basically everyone does, so I just showed it for an example. I hope this is clear, and if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and drop a comment if you have any questions or other video requests. And if you're interested in my journey to Germany, just let me know. I'd be happy to share more about that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.